Hello, listeners. This is Lee Price.
This is Will Ford from Football 365.
And you're listening smartly to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast, although I would describe it as the Chelsea FC podcast.
Magical from Eden Hazard! Kai Havertz in the Champions League final! Ivanovic! In the middle, it's just behind him, but it's tapped in by Hakim Ziyech. Matic with the ball driver! Matic takes the net off!
It's time for another episode of At the Bridge Pod, your number one Chelsea FC podcast. Coming up on this episode,
it's an absolute huge episode today. We have news what the future has in store for Pochettino. Of course, we're previewing the Chelsea versus Barcelona second leg of the Women's Champions League as we take a 1-0 lead. And we have to break down that 5-0 thrashing at the hands of Arsenal. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of At the Bridge Pod. You spoke, we listened, Thursday, not Friday, and I have one virtual lion. I've got Chris. So you know it's going to be a good episode straight away. It is the Thursday show, and hey, let's start with the positive. What are you looking forward to this Friday and weekend? What are you doing?
Don't think I've got a lot on, to be honest. Just the usual stuff, you know, football-based stuff. Oh, I'm going to watch a under-13s cup final on Sunday. One of the girls who I coach is in the final, and the club who I coach for, she's playing against them. So I've got like a foot in both camps. It's like one of them games you go to and you can't lose. You know what I mean?
Can confirm you won't be on VAR for that game.
No, I will not.
Oh, right. It's that time of the year. Everyone knows it. For me, it's the 2024 NFL draft, of course. One of my favorite times of the year where I just lose my mind over a man reading out the name of a player joining a team. Yeah. And for listeners who don't care about the NFL, just take a look at some of, the players, how they suit up for the big event. So there's some outfits that are wild, some are fire. I cannot wait to see whose suit I'm going to be the most jealous of, but hey. And it starts at 1 a.m, so I won't be watching round one. I'll be watching the highlights of people walking up to a stage. Yes, that's my life. I enjoy it. I don't get. And hey, actually, you know what? There's something else. I'm not looking forward to, but today I got my Musovic jersey arriving perfect for the Champions League game on Saturday. And she even replied to me on Instagram. I have never been more happy. I was so happy. Anyway, less of me. We will hit the news because there's a little bit. Oh, it's that time of the week. We're going to check out the news you may have missed in that elevator of Chelsea news. Sources say the players love Pochettino, but evenings as shameful as them suffering their heaviest ever defeat to Arsenal were not going to help his cause. Thiago Silva has a verbal agreement to join Fluminense. The expectation is still for Trevor Chalobah to leave, so Chelsea can make some pure profit and for Chalobah to be a regular starter. Enzo Fernandez has had an operation on his hernia, ruling him out for the remainder of the Premier League season. He should be fit in time for the Copa America. And finally, the FA could ban clubs from globetrotting post-season friendlies. Concerns were raised after Newcastle and Spurs arranged a match in Melbourne 3 days after the final Premier League match day. Every team is saying that there's too many games, and the club higher-ups are just constantly scheduling flights all around the world, aren't they? Of course they are. I don't know where. We'll probably do one. We always do something silly. I've got to touch on the article from Pochettino. It was dropped by Nizar Quinceller of the Evening Standard, titled "Chelsea players do not want Mauricio Pochettino to be sacked as manager. As the manager faces crucial running." Should be a comma in there. Come on. They're a professional paper. We're not professional. They should have a comma in there. Anyway, I've broken it down into bullet points for you, Chris. So, I'm not sat here reading a full article. We're busy people. We've got much to rant about today. So, Chelsea players are largely supportive of Poch, preferring stability over another change. His future at Chelsea is under scrutiny, though, after obviously 5-0 defeat. European qualification could determine whether he keeps his job next season. He'll discuss potential changes in the summer after a disappointing season with players. The young squad, though, appreciates Poch's efforts to foster team spirit and shield them from criticism. Many Chelsea players apparently accept that they have been frozen under pressure and struggle to adapt to the expectation of being at the big club in the world. Poch's fate will ultimately be decided by the co-owner, Igbali, and the sporting directors. There is reportedly a feeling among some at Chelsea that Poch has been too soft on some of their inconsistent players and that a tough approach is needed. Injuries have affected Chelsea's performance, and Poch is not solely responsible for that. Poch's methods may take time to show results, as they did at Spurs, and that discussions will also address improving Chelsea's injury record in the coming seasons, because it's bloody shit, isn't it? I mean, how do you just feel? We'll touch on it in the game, but how do you feel about the future with Poch and everything?
Listen, I'm not Poch's biggest fan, and I don't think he's a great manager. I don't think he's a manager who's going to win a Premier League title. However, I think sacking him this summer would be the biggest mistake we could make.
Okay.
Because if we stick with him, and the players are obviously happy with him, if we stick with him, we'd have some stability when other clubs won't. So Liverpool are changing manager, so you don't know what's going to happen there. Man United might be changing manager. You don't know what's going to happen there. Even clubs like Villa. Now, it seems unlikely that Emery will leave, but
he's got a new deal. He's got a new deal to 2027.
What does that mean these days? That they'll get a bigger payout?
Yeah. You know what? That's a fair point, isn't it?
With the season they've had and with big clubs looking for managers, there is a chance that he could leave as well. So there's going to be a lot of clubs who are moving into a transition, and we've had our year of that now. So I think we'd be a year ahead of those clubs if that does happen. And that is the only reason why I would give him the other year, because the players are obviously on board with what he wants to do. But also because he made a comment, was it last week or the week before? A couple of weeks, where he spoke about the summer transfer window and what they'd have to look for in the summer transfer window. And he said, we have to add some experience. So he knows what the problem is, like we all do, that this squad is too inexperienced. And to be honest with you, for all the mistakes he's made, and there has been enough to fill a book, he's been dealt a shit hand, because you give a Premier League manager the youngest squad average age in the league, you're expecting them to finish at best mid-table, which is where we are. If this was Brentford, you'd be saying, actually, they've had a really good season. If you give Brentford a squad of our age, everyone would be saying they're overachieving. But because ours is so expensively assembled, everyone was expecting it to be so much better. But the reality is, you don't have experience in the Premier League. At best, you'll finish mid-table, which is exactly where we are. If we was to get 6th or 7th, I'd say actually probably this squad's overachieved. So I don't think he's massively, although I understand the criticism of we haven't massively improved from last season.
Yeah.
We had a lot more experience last season. Last season was more of a failure than this one, because we had more experience in the squad last season. So I don't think it's completely fair to judge him solely on this season. It hasn't been that bad that he definitely has to go, but it hasn't been as good as people perhaps wanted it to be. I would say give him the summer. Hopefully the board back obviously what he wants, and they can get him the 3 or 4 experienced players that he spoke about himself wanting in the squad. And then if we get to Christmas next year and we're still in mid-table, by all means, get rid of him. But I don't think we would be, because I think there is still a lot of positives that you see in the way that we play. Now, if you add some experience in there, I do think this team is further up the table. And for as shit as we've been this year, we're still in with a chance of finishing 6th. So the standard in the Premier League it's not like we're 20 points away from 6th. You know what I mean? Then you think, we're not going to make that up. But we could easily make up that gap next year and be fighting sixth, fifth, even fourth. So we're not as far away as it seems at times, but we'll only get closer if the recruitment's right, and that's not really on Poch.
I think I'm echoing what you've said. I can't disagree. I think it's a very sensible, level-headed opinion. The only counter I'd bring is the fans feel like they've already turned, and when that happens,
yeah,
I mean, we've still got. It's so stupid of me to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think the Spurs game decides his future.
It's amazing that, because
you know what I mean. If we lose that game, it's Spurs. I mean, losing to Arsenal. This is an Arsenal team that they're going for the title. They're collective. They already know they already know each other by their first names. Our squad don't really know each other by first name basis, do they? Yeah. But with Spurs is Spurs. This is the arch rival Spurs, and you lose to them, and that's what I mean, because of how the fans seem to be at games. And I mean, social media, is it a very vocal minority that you're just seeing? It's a hard one to judge on the social media side, but it's the games. You hear the atmosphere.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I do think a lot of that comes now because I think players are more protected by the fans now than managers are. I think unless you're a manager who comes in and wins something, so, a Mourinho or, Pep at City, where the fans will always back the manager over the players. I think players nowadays seem to have these weird cult followings that they'll always back that player over any manager unless that manager's ridiculously successful. So I think it's a weird barometer now to know how people are genuinely feeling about it, because they're almost protecting their own interests. And I just think, although it would be difficult, I think one of the mistakes the board has made, and I have said this before, is I think they've listened to fans too much. Because
you do wonder, don't you? It does seem that way.
Because football fans are stupid. Football fans are stupid. And the most fickle people in the world. We are literally the most fickle people in the world. One week you're world class, and the next week you should be sold. That is how quick football fans turn. A large majority of football fans judge it game by game, minute by minute sometimes. Like, you're the best thing since sliced bread in the first half, and in the second half they want you sold, never to wear the shirt again. So it's so hard, and I think this is where the board have to be strong, because if you look at Arsenal, for example, there was a lot of fans calling for Arteta's head a few years ago as well.
That is fair, yeah.
Their fans turned on him. I remember Arsenal getting booed off of the Emirates more than once. And the board stuck with him and said, no, we're going to back what we've said we're going to do. And to be fair, it could have gone either way, because I hate that. I do hate the assumption that time is going to heal all things, because it doesn't. It could have gone one of two ways. They could have backed him and it could have been an absolute shit show, but it's turned out well for them. And I think at some point, we're at a point now where I just think at some point we've got to back something, because the continual change now within the squad, keep making too many signings, selling players isn't going to help, and keep changing the manager all the time isn't going to help, because the manager market is a really shallow pool now. Anyway,
the short list was Amorim, Flick, and De Zerbi. I'm thinking Amorim is not leaving Sporting. He's not happening. Not happening.
Well, the thing is as well, you're getting rid of one average manager to bring in another. Roberto De Zerbi's won nothing, proved nothing. Amorim has done well in Portugal, means jack all. I mean, West Ham are looking at him. So that says it all, really.
They're ambitious.
If he's considering West Ham, he's not an elite manager. That's the reality. Oof. And it was just one, Hansi Flick. Yeah,
he did win the Champions League. Let's give him credit.
He did, yeah. And he'd probably be the preferred choice. But is he the right personality for such a young squad? He didn't win the Champions League with a young team, did he? That's the thing. People have to take into account the squad that they're getting. And it is hard. And I just think you might as well give Poch another 6 months, because it's really not going to make any difference long term.
That's fair. We'll see how that develops, of course, and we'll be all over it in the summer. We always will be. But one thing before we go to the review, I've got to do it. Chelsea women welcome Barcelona Femeni to the bridge for the biggest game of the season. 1-0 lead from the first leg. That's Cuthbert's goal being the difference. It's a narrow advantage. We're the underdogs, of course, when you're playing the winners of the Champions League and the team that are the best team in the world. It is what it is. But, they've reached the Champions League final after all 4 of the past 5 seasons. So they've got pedigree. Right. The team news I pulled up was that Chelsea captain Millie Bright is pushing to be involved after obviously being named on the bench in the first leg. She's been out with a knee injury since November, so that'd be a huge boost. Lauren James has apparently recovered from an injury, so should be expected to play a key role. Myra Ramirez will be potentially leading the line. Barcelona remain without Mapi Leon after she suffered a serious knee injury at the end of last year. Lucy Bronze will hope to come into the side, though. And I think this is one of the most outstanding things I'm going to actually be able to say. We've already sold more tickets for this one game than the previously best attended game at Stamford Bridge against Arsenal. I mean,
wow.
I mean, that's so awesome. It really, really is. The support that this team have had is outstanding. And I think it could be a sellout. I'd love it to be a sellout because that atmosphere there, oh my word,
And they're going to need it. They're going to need it.
It's not going to be, I mean, as much as I was a little bit smirk and going, oh, has anyone seen Barcelona? No, look, this is half time in a very, very difficult game. I mean,
and what people don't understand as well is it's a really difficult game to know how to approach.
Yeah,
because you're winning against a team who are superior. They are a better team. So to come away from the first leg away from home with, let's face it, what would have been a shock result, the idea wouldn't have been to be going into this leg leading. I don't think. Personally, internally, I imagine not so much to the players, but between the coaching staff definitely would have been, we want to get back to the second leg in the tie. So if that means a goal down, great. If that means a draw, great. Obviously, everyone, you dream of a win, but how realistic was it? It was very unrealistic when you look at their home record. So going into this leg now, you're thinking, okay, all we have to do is not lose. Don't lose, and we're through, which is then a really hard game to approach because if you go into
that mentality
if you go into it not to lose, but then you go a goal down after a minute, what do you do now? Then, but if you go into it to play to win, you then risk going a goal down and the game changing. So it's people don't realise that as much as it's great to win the first leg, it can make the second leg incredibly difficult from a mental side of how to approach the game. And I do just hope that we get that right. I think it's going to be a case of do it minute by minute.
Yes,
get to 15. Get to 15 minutes, still in the game. Still leading. Get to half an hour, still leading. Get to half time, still leading in the tie. Let's just do it. And I think you have to approach it like that. I don't think you can have a blanket approach because a game can change in a second.
Yeah, I did find it interesting. I did keep an eye on Barcelona's game last night, and that was against obviously Levante Les Planes. 1-4-2. However, they did go 1-0 down, then they came back 1-1, then 2-1 down, and most of the goals were in the first start, but they all were. You never know. I mean, and that's a team that are third from bottom in the Spanish La Liga. So the Premier division even.
I think this is one of the Barcelona teams, one of the few Barcelona teams over the last sort of 5 years that you can get up.
Oh, yeah. I think in the Champions League, that's certainly shown, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, they did obviously win their group. They drew one game, but I'm trying to remember when it was. They had a game again. It was in the quarters. I can't remember who they played. Was it Bran?
Benfica, wasn't it? Was it Benfica they played?
Apologies, it was Benfica. I'm just pulling up the game because I remember they went. I'm pretty sure that
because
Benfica
they drew 3-3 or something, didn't they?
Yeah, it does ring a bell. I tell you what, it was that long ago. 4-4. That was in their final Champions League game.
Yeah,
in the groups anyway. In the knockouts, should have prepped this earlier and I didn't. Where was it? It was here somewhere. Champions League group stage. Bran, yes, it was a 2-1 win and then a 3-1 win. So, hey, who knows? Who knows? Fingers crossed. It's live on DAZN and DAZN Women's Football YouTube channel. So if you can't get down there, at least you can watch it on YouTube. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Oh dear. Time for the midweek match report, just sponsored by depression. So I've got 2 winners and they're not even my winners. It's because of the Discord. Did you find any?
I've actually got 3.
Bloody hell! I didn't see that coming. I did not see 3. Go on. I'm impressed. Go on.
I've got Madueke.
Yeah, he had a good game.
I thought was lively throughout. Tried to make things happen. Set up a couple of good chances that we missed. Didn't shy away from having the ball in the second half when it was getting really tough. I mean, I'm giving him credit really for doing pretty much what I expect to be the bare minimum.
Doing his job.
Yeah, but when no one else is doing it, you stand out like a sore thumb. So I just think a very dim, bright spark in a absolute blackout of a performance.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. You know what? Run off your rest of your winners because I'm pretty sure they're probably a quick ones, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I've got Mark Cucurella.
Yeah, he had a good game.
I actually thought kept Saka really quiet.
Yeah.
But people are going to point to the Havertz goal, I think, where he got held off for Havertz to score. But I mean, he was covering the left centre back and then the right centre back. He was covering everybody. So he deserves praise for being there in the first place. But I thought Saka did nothing. And that's testament to how well Cucurella played. And then my last one is Conor Gallagher.
Oh.
I thought he had an okay game. He was an average game, wasn't a great game, but I think as well for after, people don't seem to be treating him like a young player, but he is a young player and still inexperienced at Premier League level. To come out and field those questions after, which wasn't easy when he was asked the question about the fan holding up that sign.
Yes.
I thought he handled that well for someone who really at a club like Chelsea shouldn't be in that position. He shouldn't be the one out there answering those questions, which just shows where our squad is. That should have been a 28, 29, 30-year-old who's made over 200 league appearances coming out and fielding those questions after that sort of game. But fair play to him. He took it on. He went and faced the music and didn't shy away. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
No, I think that's very fair. I can't disagree with you at all there. My 2 winners were me. Yay! Discord member JBH25 suggested I put myself as a winner for not being able to watch the game. And he was damn fair. Right. I mean, look, it was shown on TNT Sports. I only have Sky. And Tuesday night, we chose not to sail the 7 seas, and I just watched the US office, and I had a damn good time doing so. But it also meant that I had to watch the extended highlights on Wednesday. 30 minutes, I'll never get back. And second winner was Australian Chelsea fans, because that was the mention on the Discord from Busha, because they were fast asleep.
Yeah, good. Congratulations to them.
Well done. Right, losers. Oh my word. I did 4 because I thought I'd release the cap on the 3 losers. Ollie put everyone down. He literally said everyone. That's very fair. Did you find more than 4?
I'll be honest with you, losers. I'm sort of winging it. So
yeah, I can understand that.
I'm going to bring up people that you don't.
Okay,
I think is a good way of doing it.
You know what?
Because there's so many that need a mention here.
Right, I've got a quick fire one, and that was Mauricio Pochettino, because just a loser in general for that. I mean, maybe the guy who took over PSG and promptly ended their title streak with Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar as their strike force might not be a good manager for us. But hey, we never know. Right, the first one that's a proper winner, the proper loser even, was the Stat Drop Club. There's no music. No music is coming because the Stat Drop Club's got to be closed temporarily for this. The stats from this one are not pretty. They are damning.
No,
they are
they
painful. And this is why there's no music. No music here. Chelsea conceded 57 Premier League goals this season. There's still games left. That is the most in Chelsea's Premier League history. We've still got games to play. Raheem Sterling was dispossessed more times. That's 4 than any player for either Arsenal or Chelsea. He played 24 minutes.
That's fucking horrendous.
I didn't realise. When I read the stat, I was like, oh, that's not good. I didn't read the extra bit when it went 12. I was like, oh my word, that's horrific.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. There's 3 more stats I've got to pull off. For the first time this season, no Chelsea player registered more than 1 successful tackle during a single game in all competitions. The 5-0 defeat to Arsenal was our heaviest London derby defeat since '86. It's also Arsenal's biggest win over Chelsea in all competitions. And finally, talking of '86, this is Chelsea's second biggest top-flight defeat in London after a 6-0 loss at QPR on the 31st of March, 1986. Ooh,
Jesus Christ. That is bad, isn't it? That is bad.
I just couldn't believe them stats. They're so bad. I mean, what? I mean, it's not a shock. I mean, we were bad. You know, when we're bad, we seem to be very bad. And considering that Cliff Richard and the young ones apparently were number 1 on that day when we lost to QPR. Living Doll was the song. There you go. But anyway, that's why they're all there. My second loser I will bring up straight away because you might touch on this. It's the Kai Havertz fallout. And that's, I just want to mention this because there was a bit of fallout from his celebration. I mean, he spent 3 seasons with us. That's it. I mean, that's how long he spent with us. I mean, sure, yeah, we hoisted the Champions League trophy together. But I've always been one with this whole not celebrating business. It's reserved for like legends or those who, you know, bled the club's colours. A guy that's been around for just 3 years, I'm not losing sleep over it. Let him do his thing. You know, the fact it's even a topic of debate, I found a bit ludicrous, you know. Look, as a Chelsea fan, I was focusing on a 5-0 defeat, not what a former Blue did.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
Plus, remember, I mean, we kicked him out of the club. The social media and the fans wanted him gone, and he went. And it was all, look, they've wasted their money, etc. You know, and
they still have. Because, I mean, ultimately, he can score 2 goals against us all he likes. He still had an average season.
I mean, I guess that also answers Josh Thompson's question about, was I fuming after Havertz celebrated? No. I mean, what do I expect?
I was more fuming at the fact that we was like 4-0 down.
Yeah, that's what bugged me. And then I saw Twitter and Reddit and everything. Oh, I can't believe he's done this. And I'm like, really? This shouldn't be the focus.
Again, I'll just bring you back to something I've said on here so many times before. Not every player who plays for your club is a fan of your club.
I mean, look at the other team.
It's just a workplace.
On the other team, you had Ben White. He doesn't even like football.
Exactly.
He couldn't give a shit. If someone said
football.
If you've got to go and work in Tesco tomorrow, you go, fine. All right. Am I still being paid the same amount? Yeah. All right. Get me suit on. It's just what it is, you know. That's just part of the game. You know, not every player is a fan. Not every player loves the club like we do. It's just one of them things. And you know what? I'll pull off my final loser so you get to go through any that come to your mind. I had Mykhailo Mudryk, and we're there's a reason here. We're winding down. Well, hang on, I've got context to the comment. We're winding down, look, on his first full season in the Premier League, and I'm just sort of scratching my head trying to figure out where he fits into Poch's plans, because I kind of feel it's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube and you're blindfolded. You know, this uncertainty ain't doing Chelsea any favours, you know, especially when we need someone to grab the game by the horns, make things happen. And one thing I'll tell you about is his defensive efforts. They're about as consistent as British weather. You know, watching him try to track back is like watching a turtle trying to sprint. And then, as you touched on in winners, Kukureya's out there putting in a shift like nobody's been. Night and day it was. I know you could argue that one's a defender and one's not, but Kukureya was putting in a shift. And I was watching Mudryk and his tactical awareness. That was like him playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Yes, he has got speed. He has got skills. He's got a talent there. Of course he is. But that tactical know-how, it felt like we brought a lasso to a gunfight. A lasso to a gunfight. It was just you know how this is going to end.
You know what it is with Mudryk? Because, again, he's another one, has a lot of supporters. Based on nothing, by the way, when you get into a conversation with them. He has a lot of supporters, and I'm not saying he doesn't have talent.
No, he definitely has talent. Yeah.
He has talent. He has potential. But so have a lot of other players who I wouldn't have wanted to see play for us. Xherdan Shaqiri, Marko Arnautovic. All of these players who are capable of being absolutely brilliant, but are also capable of going 8 months from being absolute shit. And having talent doesn't make you a good player. Every single Premier League player is talented. Every single Premier League player has talent. That's why they're playing in the absolute upper limit of professional football. You don't get there if you don't have talent. So that's not enough. So then you start looking at other things. And the main one of that is consistency. And there hasn't been a single game since Mudryk joined the club. There hasn't been a single match where Mudryk has had a good game for the entire time he's been on the pitch.
I can see your argument. Yeah.
Only ever been good for maximum 45 minutes. And then either goes off injured or disappears. That's the reality.
It's interesting because you were saying of players like that, and there was one that came to my mind instantly that was good, talented. Euro 2012 comes to mind. Not consistent, and that's someone I absolutely love. I still love him now. Birthday share, I do. Mario Balotelli, outstanding when he's got, but not very consistent. I mean, the thing with Mudryk, look, he's 23. He's not 19. We need results. We need them quick. You. He's a 62 million developmental project for us. We bought him. I still feel we bought him without any plan, any ideas, or any thought in how he would suit our team. I still believe that he was bought to blow a big raspberry at Arsenal. Look what we can do. We can outbid you and sign the player that loves your club. I mean, that's not his fault, but that's our ownership really screwed up there, I think.
And you know what? There's been people on social media who, the Mudryk supporters, saying that he'll be better under a different coach.
Would he?
There is only one coach in the Premier League that I think might be better for Mudryk than Poch, and that's Jurgen Klopp.
Oh, wow.
He's the only one who I think could maybe get more out of him than what Poch could. Because if you look at what Poch did with Heung-min's son.
Yes.
That's just Mudryk. Except Son had the right attitude and the consistency to actually pull it off. And Poch just looked at Mudryk and gone, no, he's just shit. That's the reality of it. He's just not good enough. He's not now, and I don't think he ever will be, a top 4 Premier League player.
Oh, I mean, it'd be interesting what would have happened if he'd have gone to Arsenal, because they signed Trossard, and bloody hell. I mean, that looks that, but then you can imagine it 360 it or 180 it. Trossard at Chelsea would have been an absolute flop. It's just the way it's the way of the Chelsea. Got nothing else to add to that, really. Oh dear. Yeah, I mean that's why he's on my list. I feel like I was a bit harsh on Poch now. I've said all that. I mean, I know he broke that 8-year streak, and we touched on it in the news that he should probably stay on for a bit, but. Hey, so I've sat on the fence on it, I guess. I mean, who do you want to single out particularly for just sucking in that game?
Well, I think one of the biggest losers to come out of this game, and I can sort of tie it into a big group here. Our midfield again, but more specifically, our board, because of our midfield. Because I watched our midfield, and they must have sat there as well watching our £200 million midfielders getting the runaround by a player who we turned down, and then Arsenal, who are challenging for the title, bringing on another midfielder who we said wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So that's worked out well. Got rid of Jorginho because, according to a lot of the fans as well, and this is what I mean about listening to fans, he wasn't good enough, and yet he plays for Arsenal, who could win the title, or were
Yeah.
not, and were ninth. But we've upgraded on him with Enzo. Yeah, that's gone really well so far.
Hey, he has been playing with a hernia. I keep saying this.
Jorginho has more trophies for Chelsea than Enzo has wins.
Bloody hell, does he?
It must be close because I can only remember
Oh,
Enzo
don't
winning about 4
know. I
games.
bought that. I bought that hook, line, and sinker. I'm gonna have to check this.
And then Caicedo's not a lot better, by the way.
Hmm.
But when you look at it and you just see, we turned down spending £100 million on Declan Rice, and then and at the time I was fully behind that because I don't think he's worth £100 million either. But then to go and spend 115 on Caicedo, who is half the player Declan Rice is, it's just absolutely bizarre. Especially when you see them up against each other, you just think this is just ridiculous because that's twice now. By the way, Rice had a really good game Tuesday night. He's had a really good season, and then in the reverse fixture, he scored. And you just think it's actually taking the piss that we turned down having him because we wouldn't pay the money, and then you go and spend more money on a worse player because Liverpool wanted him.
I was just looking. He got 4 wins at Chelsea. No, he got 3 wins in the Premier League in his first half season with us. That's really bad. How many times we lost him?
That is fucking dreadful, isn't it?
Wow. There's a lot of red defeats on this list from last season. Yeah, he did get 4 last season for us because we beat Dortmund. So that's 1 win plus the 3. So he equaled the 4 trophies that Jorginho got for us.
Well done.
But that's oh no, that's a jeez.
But
I think that was that bad.
I just think when you watch us against Arsenal, who are another team that we're looking to close the gap on, the difference in midfield was Stevie Wonder could see it. It was that obvious. And we've spent £200 million on us.
Yeah,
which isn't their fault. That's why I'm blaming the board.
I can't disagree that. I mean, it's like Romeo Lavia. Was he purchased and Caicedo to a point? You could argue, was it more Lavia than Caicedo? Was he purchased because to blow a raspberry at Liverpool? It does go through my head. It really does.
I tell you what, we don't sign Caicedo if Liverpool don't go in for him. I'm telling you that transfer doesn't happen because we already pulled out knowing that he was overpriced, and then it was only when Liverpool went in we thought, we can't have Liverpool getting him.
Yeah, because I remember the Discord on the outcry on Twitter. It was like, how embarrassing! It's like maybe they did listen to the fans and went, we can't be embarrassed. It's like maybe don't think like that. Oh dear, yeah. That's a very great way to run a club, isn't it?
I think we have to talk about Nicholas Jackson, don't we?
Yeah. It wasn't great, was it?
I mean, his header in his own hand. He's then missing the target when he's got 90% of the goal to aim at. Do you know what's really annoying about Jackson, though? He scores one of those chances, he's our man of the match.
Yeah.
That is how frustrating he is because he did so many good things, a bit like against Man City. It was exactly the same here. He done so many good things, except the most important part. He absolutely ran Saliba ragged, who's meant to be, according to Arsenal fans, the best centre-back in the world. And he absolutely rinsed him on more than one occasion. And for that chance that he missed towards the end, sat Gabriel down like a child, but then missed the target. And it's so annoying that he's so good and then so shit at the same time. I've never seen a player like him who can be that good at everything except the main part he's meant to be good at.
I mean, I've got to laugh at this. I've just checked quickly what the player ratings were. The highest rated player was Casado, who came on in the 79th minute, who got a 6.7. But
Wow.
let's put the subs to one side. Who
And
do you
he
think?
fell over.
Yeah, who do you think was the highest rated player on the Chelsea team that wasn't a sub? So officially, our man of the match.
Oh, it's good. Do you know what? Judging
Oh
by
my
how
word.
these ratings go, I
Yeah,
think
it's a good one.
It's got to be someone stupid.
It is. I've got to say it.
Probably Caicedo.
It wasn't. It was actually Mikhailo Mudryk. I am so shocked.
Well, that's just based on
wow.
what? Did he even play?
He did play 66 minutes. Yeah.
I didn't see any of them because no, because he completely ghosted it.
Oh, poor Mark Cucurella got a 4.8. What?
That's just that again. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
So you can show me all the ratings in the world, but I know what I watched.
Ben White got man of the match, 9.3. 2 goals, a yellow card, a clean sheet. Well done.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is there anyone else you want to touch on before we move to, the emojis?
No, not really, because I mean it was everyone, wasn't it? I mean, I felt sorry for Alfie Gilchrist being thrown in at the deep end. It's basically like throwing a lamb into a pack of wolves, wasn't it?
You're going to play right back. Oh, thanks. I've never played this position before, boss.
Yeah, and then the centre back pairing, absolutely atrocious.
I mean, we literally had. I mean, whether you think he's good at that position or not, do you know who can play right back? Disasi. And we didn't do it. I mean,
I didn't understand, and I still don't understand now the argument that Poch made for dropping Chalobah and Silva. Made no sense. Said Silva's 39, so we have to manage his games, okay? And Chalobah missed a lot of games at the start of the season. What's that got to do with now?
It doesn't help when you hear that sort of stuff.
He treated it like we played extra time against Man City, but we didn't. We lost it. We lost in normal time, mate. So you're telling me, let's say, as far-fetched as this sounds, let's say we'd qualified for the Champions League for next season.
Wow.
We play a game on the Saturday. Are you not going to play the 2 centre-halves on the Tuesday? Because
exactly.
It's too close together? What are you on about, mate?
You're
you can't... It was annoying because it was almost like he wrote this game off. And I don't give a shit who you're playing. If you're at a club like Chelsea, you cannot write a game
No,
off.
you can't. It's it could be a free hit, but don't go, well, there's no point here.
Yeah, I might as well rotate and get some people some minutes and we'll get battered and all come home.
Yeah. Right. Oh, emojis. You know what? I copied your classic. I just went with a shrug because my expectations were a beating. We got a beating.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll go with the sort of sad face with one tear.
Oh,
because
that's how we all feel.
Watching this game, at first I was angry, and then towards the end, when it sort of sinks in, actually made me really sad because I thought this is exactly what I would expect a mid-table club to do. Go there, first half, concede an early goal, stay in the game, have a few threatening attacks, get to half time, a goal down, and you think, they're doing all right there. And then second half, get completely and utterly blown away. It wouldn't have shocked me. You could have replaced us with Crystal Palace, and I'd have thought, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
and it's really sad to think that this is where we could be now.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
If the people who are making decisions in this football club don't pull the finger out the arse and realise that you cannot run this football club this way, it does not work.
No, it's not a closed system like, my beloved NFL. It doesn't work
exactly.
the way. Right, Lion of the Week, because I'm not even going to look at who we picked before because there's no point. It was not good.
I think Ollie picked Cucurella, so I think
did he? You know what? I will bring up the Monday script because he did. I went Jackson. Berth went Petrovic. Cucurella. Well done, Ollie. You win this week. Well done. next up's Villa on Saturday night.
Oh God, I know. 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. What a
I know.
stupid
What a
kickoff
great
time.
time. Oh, hey, listeners in Australia will be able to watch that. So that's, will they at that time? 8 o'clock? No. I don't know.
You know what's even worse? It's another one of those days, isn't it? It's another one of those days where you've got the Chelsea women's game at 5:30.
Oh, yeah.
Straight into the men's game.
Yes. Hopefully one win of those.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if you only offered me one win, I know which one I'm choosing.
Oh, 100%. I want a Chelsea in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
The roulette wheel's giving me Badiashile. So there we go.
Oh, wow, that's really unlucky.
He's going to play. He's going to play.
Oh, God. Wow, we're in trouble then.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I really don't know who to pick.
There's so many players. Most injured, but
who's going to be fit?
That needs a roulette wheel.
Let's go with Cucurella again. I think he's gonna have another really hard game up against Leon Bailey, who's in really good form for Villa. So he's gonna have a good game again.
Yeah. Right. Christmas questions. We've got 3. Lassie has asked, are we going to get an At the Bridge Pod end of the season awards episode? Yes, 100%. We always conclude.
The best one ever.
Hey, the one, we always have an award in there called the Bad Back Award that we believe is a player who carried the team for the season. I like, you just already know who it's so good.
Who's that going to be?
It's we won't spoil it. We won't spoil it, but you might have an idea who's the prime candidate for it. Yeah, that will probably be. I mean, the season ends on the 19th of May, as it did months ago, but the real season ends on the 19th of May, so it'll probably be on the Friday show after. So, right, Adam has asked, do we sell Badiashile this summer? Milan wanted him, but I doubt it. I doubt it'll happen. I'd say no.
Do you know what? I really don't know, because I've seen him be really good, but what has happened to him? Because he has
since that injury.
Yeah, I can't believe it's the same player. I really can't believe it's the same player. Depend on the price for me.
Okay, that's fair. The final one is Vilma, who's asked, do you think it's time for Poch to say goodbye and instead bring in Nagelsmann? I don't know if this was asked before Nagelsmann extended his deal with the German national team. Yeah. Won't happen. No. Nagelsmann's not coming.
No, and even if that was an option, it's another one of them where it could go either way. It's not a proven manager again. It's I don't know. And this is where I do have some sympathy for decision makers in the football club, because you would be looking at Poch thinking, well, this hasn't been great. But then what's your alternatives? There isn't many who... No. There's almost no guaranteed manager out there who could come in and make a significant difference, an absolute guarantee who would be available. So I think sometimes it's better to stick than keep twisting.
I'm kind of warming to that argument now, because I don't see a way we get someone better. I know that's quite ironic, but he's not a winner. Yeah, we know that, but
yeah, because what I know what people will say, people will throw certain things like, oh, he's done this and he's done this and he's won this league and blah 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 blah. But
yeah,
there's no guarantee. There's managers who could come in and could do better, because it's difficult to do worse, but they could do better, but they could do exactly the same. In another year's time, we could be sat here having the same conversation again.
Yeah, I mean, when Potter was appointed, we were sort of like, oh, this could work. Young team, project manager, project club. It didn't work. And his stock has hardly taken a knock, if you're realistic, looking at how we've played this season. It's almost like, what was he meant to do?
The only other thing I would say is the only way you could almost sack Poch, bring in someone unproven, but it would work better, is if it's someone who the fans genuinely already love.
Cesc Fabregas. That video went wild, and everyone went, "Oh, yeah." Like,
I've seen that. I've seen that floating around. But let's say if Fabregas had done like what Xabi Alonso's done at Leverkusen, if he'd done something like that at the top end of football already, then yes, someone like that, because they already have that affection and that affiliation with the fans, which Poch has never had and never will have. No. That is the only way you could get rid of Poch, bring in someone who's not drastically better, or maybe not even better at all, but would get more support. But I don't know who's out there. Who is that?
I agree.
So
I think it's better to
seems pointless now.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, we did it, listeners. We're at the end of that episode. Thank you for listening. You know, we do appreciate you. We really do, even during the tough times of these dreadful games that we have to watch with the men's team. But hey, treat yourself well. We'll be back on Monday, because hopefully celebrating a Champions League final spot, hopefully, and maybe a Villa win. Beating Villa, or more likely a Villa win. Villa will win. That's what I said there was probably correct, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we'll see.
Freudian slip there.
Yeah. All right. Well, till next time, that's us signing.
You've been listening to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching for At the Bridge Pod. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving us a review is always appreciated.